Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. And you see something very sexy and very smooth laying out on my table. And that is a brand new design by our good friend Tashi. Now, Tashi Bharucha, for those that don't know, is an absolutely amazing knife maker and designer and artist. And he makes a small amount of knives himself as handmade customs. And then he does a lot of collaborations because he makes a lot of designs. And there's no one man in the world that would have enough time to custom make all the designs that Tashi can come up with. I mean, it's like he has an endless degree of talent. And there's always something cool coming out of his mind and coming out of his workshop. Here, this collaboration is going to be a little menage a trois. We have Tashi, we have Lee Williams, and we have Riat. Now, with this particular knife, they were a very limited release. The very first release went over to Steel Addiction Knives because I do believe it was Steel Addiction Knives that actually commissioned this whole thing. But in the sake of fairness, there were other dealers that did get them. I actually purchased mine from PVK.vegas. I've been doing business with Josh Burbank for, gosh, it must be about a decade now. And I love Josh. I think he's a phenomenal dude. I love the people that work for him and the quality of stuff that he gets and the unusual assortment of knives that he gets. But the whole thing was I wanted a full size. This comes in two sizes, a 3-inch blade and a 3.6-inch blade. So I wanted the full size. What I wanted was the Mokutai inlay. But by the time I jumped on this, the only Mokutais that were remaining were in the small size. And I didn't think that I'd want the small size. So I went for my number 2 choice, and that was in the zirconium. Josh had them at PVK, so that's where I purchased mine. Got it 2 days later. And I think it's a super rad knife, man. It's a cool knife all the way around. And we're going to talk about why I think that. But first, let's talk about Tashi, let's talk about Lee Williams, and let's talk about Riat. Number one, when you look at Tashi's designs, he has a unique way of blending very organic, beautiful, flowing overall designs with very strong and often angular lines, and he combines those two. You'd think there would be a major conflict there design-wise, and there is naturally, but he finds a way to put them together in an astonishing way. And if you're unfamiliar with Tashi's work, please go back and review in my channel. I have reviewed a number of Tashi's designs, and I think he's not only a pretty fantastic person in real life, but I think he's probably one of the most gifted knife designers currently working in the industry. He always brings out something unique, and this is certainly no different. This is the Krypton, which I believe he named because he believes that the overall look of this knife resembled a shard of kryptonite from the Superman movies. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm a sci-fi dude. I think that's pretty neat. One telltale sign that this is a Tashi is the very angular, very strong front-sided flipper tab. And a signature of Lee Williams knives, that flipper tab disappears. Why? Because it is a Kickstop. The Kickstop is your flipper tab that disappears into the frame of the knife. It really is truly genius. You know, when people say that you can't do anything new in the knife industry, this is one of the things that a lot of us constantly point out. Something like the Kickstop, the SLT flipper tab by Gus Sakini with GTC Knives, things like that. Taking what's already there, a flipper tab, and some designers won't make a flipper because they don't like how their knives look when the blade is open and the flipper tab is sticking out. So Lee Williams came up with the idea to completely eliminate that, and you know what? It's pretty friggin' cool. I remember just about 4 years ago spending over $4,000 to buy myself a Kickstop. It was a Kickstop Mongoose, because back then, the only way that you could get the Lee Williams Kickstop was to either buy a full custom Lee Williams knife or a full custom knife that Lee Williams collaborated on with another custom knife maker to allow them to have the Kickstop in their particular model, which was the case with the Mongoose. Very rare, very hard to get. The prices were expensive from the makers, and then of course secondary market. So I paid secondary market. I paid over $4,000, and it's super cool. And some will debate, should it have only remained on the custom knives? That way the people that spent $2,000 plus don't feel, I don't know, slighted in some way, feel that the mechanism has been cheapened. Or are you on the side of, hey man, I think everybody should be able to get such cool things. I think I should be able to buy a $75 Kershaw and it have a Kickstop on there because I want to experience that, and I'm never going to be able to afford those multi-$1,000 customs. So sound off in the comments down below which side of the fence you're on. I don't think either party is right or wrong. I think that you have valid reasons for believing either one of those things. But that's not for me to say. What I am going to talk about, though, is how cool this knife is. It is a pretty big knife, yet it carries very compactly. You're looking at about 8.5 inches overall length with a 3.625 inch blade length. Cutting edge is 3.5 inches, and it's CPM 154. And that is actually marked right in there. Kind of gotta, you know, I'm just gonna move my light as much as I don't like doing this. There we go. CPM 154, Kickstop. And as you close that, CPM 154 disappears, remaining Kickstop only. Now I think that's kind of a cool thing because when the blade's closed, you can say, well, there is no steel. And you open it, and it's CPM 154. Oh! That's a very, very, very cool thing. I love how that was done. Very slick, very cool. And the windows are only available on the large size, on the number ones. They didn't have enough room to do that on the smaller size. I love the pivot plate. I think that's a really, really cool design aspect. You can make your pivot adjustments back here on the reverse side. You have the accordion style lock bar tension cutouts. The knife is meant to simulate the overall look of an integral design. And again, Tashi has done a lot of integrals like this himself, but it is not an integral. You have two pieces of titanium that are brought together nearly seamlessly. Very, very, very well done. I think they did an excellent job on that. Looks good. The pocket clip is phenomenal. Nice custom sculpted pocket clip. Look at that. Look how beautifully that's done. The only thing I don't like is this right here. It's a little bit sharp. So far, it has snagged two of my t-shirts and pulled threads out of the bottom seam of my t-shirts. So not really a fan of that. Just a little bit sharp right there. But other than that, the retention is phenomenal. I love how it flows with the shape of the frame, the way that a pocket clip should be. I like the very minimalist cutout for the frame lock. Not a lot of hardware. You notice there is no hardware at all on the presentation side. So you have your pivot plate and you have your 3 inlays of zirconium. They do these in carbon fiber, zirconium, mokutai. There were a few different options. There's also a plain titanium with slots cut out, and in varying prices from $400 to $500. Mine was $475 plus about excuse me, $12 in shipping. So just about $500 tied up in this. Do I feel it's worth it? Yes and no. Yes, because, I mean, it's a Tashi design. That's always going to be worth money. It's always going to be desirable. They're also going to be limited production. It's going to have a great, great feel in the hand. Tashi has a good sense for ergonomics. Having the Lee Williams Kickstop mechanism certainly makes it worth it when combined with this design. And the nice hand rub satin finish on the blade. It is not the highest grit, finest hand rub satin that Riyadh has ever done, but it is very clean and very nicely done. I'm not a huge fan of the full flat grind. I really wish they would have brought it up 3/4, maybe up to the fuller. I think it would have made this look a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more pronounced. The effect of the grind kind of disappears because it goes all the way up and then it's gone. But you do also have a harpoon here, a very deep depression here, which I don't really see as being for the thumb because that is really quite the reach. But you do have a harpoon. You have a very elongated tanto tip with a straight edge at the bottom. Tashi's design right there, Tashi's maker's mark on the left side. Lee Williams Kickstop on the right. And not a single marking that I can find for Riyadh, which is kind of funny. But the great thing is Riyadh makes such incredibly high quality knives that I don't think that there are a lot of companies, particularly out of the Far East, that could have pulled this off. That could have done such a nice hand rub satin, that could have done these completely seamless inlays, and done the Lee Williams Kickstop as well as it's been executed. As I mentioned, you really almost can't feel the inlays on the zirconium. Little bit, just a little bit right there, but very, very smooth. The clean lines that Tashi is known for. Now here's the thing, it's not Tashi enough for me. I've had a great love for Tashi's work and his designs for a lot of years. And I actually, when the knife arrived, I had told Tashi that I had bought one. And when it arrived, I said, you know what? I said, it doesn't feel 100% Tashi. He's like, I know. He goes, I was going for something very, very different from what I typically design. So he was going outside of his comfort zone and trying to do some kind of a different aesthetic, a different feel overall. And he certainly achieved that. I just don't know that it's grown on me yet. I love the handle, but one of the signatures of Tashi's designs, almost every folder that he has made, the way the handle is cut, your hand sits very high up and the blade sits very low, to where you can basically cut things on a flat surface without your fingers hitting that surface. Here, the handle is in line with the cutting edge. They are at the same height, they are identical. And while it looks cool, I think it's very GTC-like. It takes away from what I know is the design language and the DNA of Tashi's typical work. Now, not every knife he's done has done that, but it is an overwhelming concept in his design language. And it's one that I've always appreciated. It makes the knife not only aesthetically pleasing, but it makes it more useful. Here, while I certainly don't have any issues with the knife moving around in my hand or anything like that, I do wish that the blade dropped down further than the handle. And it's weird because I don't care about that. But on Tashi's knives, I expect it. You know, I don't know how to really explain it. It's not a letdown, it's not a disappointment, but it was an expectation. When you hear Tashi, new design, you know that's going to be there. And it's not, and it's weird. It's alien to me. It's strange, but that's okay. Sometimes we have to embrace change, no matter how uncomfortable it makes us. So, like a deep-seated wedgie, I'm going to try to work around this and shift around and try to get comfortable with the new normal. But I don't want to say normal because I don't know if he's going to be doing any more like that. But it really is, overall, it's a good looking knife. It's well balanced. Very, very comfortable in the hand. Again, though he knows the anatomy of the hand, he understands how you're going to be holding the knife, and he makes it just drop right in. Riyadh did a great job on all of the bevels. Nice clean bevel work in the frame. This is actually beveled right down the middle. It's kind of hard to pick it up, but there you can see that. And then you have this more dramatic bevel here, which gives you a great look for the spine. Gorgeous. Really, really a good looking knife. And it's one of those knives that you want to sit there and fidget with all day long because the action is fantastic. Ceramic detent, ceramic, oh, there we go, ceramic bearings. Here's the thing though, because of Tashi's famous very sharp corner on his flipper tab, and the fact that Riyadh jimped the living shit out of that flipper tab, yeah, it's going to start tearing up your finger after a while. So it's not one that you're going to sit there and flip over and over for an hour, even though it takes very little effort to do it. That jimping and that sharp corner is going to start tearing into your finger a little bit. Hello? Hello? Anyway. Other than that, I mean, I really don't have anything negative to say except I have to get used to it. I have to change my own idea of what I expect, because I think Tashi's going to start doing things like this more often, where he's going to surprise us. He's going to throw us for a loop. And that's the exciting thing about being a designer and about being a maker, is exploring new avenues and trying new things and breaking out of the mold you may have created for yourself. And at some point, all artists need that freedom to be able to do that. And while it may be alien to me to think Tashi and to see this particular shape, I still like it. And I'm excited to see where he's going to go from here. Will there be a Krypton sequel? I don't know. Will there be another design where he says, I'm going to take a small amount of my DNA and then I'm going to change all the other things around it and see what he comes up with, see how wild and crazy he can really get. I'm kind of excited to see that. The only thing I would change on this, to be honest, I really wish there was a more dramatic grind. I'm not a full flat grind person. I like a 3/4 grind. I like to see the flats, especially if you've got a harpoon. I like to see those three very distinct sections. But that's a personal thing. There are probably just as many people out there who go, no, I prefer having the higher flat grind. So hey, more power to you. I just think it would have added a little bit more drama to the overall design. But that's my thoughts, just kind of raw and pure. I didn't have a lot of time to sit down and do this, so I just kind of threw this together very quickly. I apologize for that, but I'm excited that Tashi's got a new design out. He has more coming. I love every time that he's collaborated with Riyadh, and I'm really excited that he collaborated with Lee Williams to get the Kickstop built into this, because you know what? If for nothing else, if you're not crazy about inlays, if you're not crazy about the blade shape or this or that, at the very least, you have a very, very good looking Tashi design with the badass Kickstop. And for a lot of people, that's going to be easily enough to justify the price. Again, there's not many of these to go around. There's still a few left at a few of the dealers, so go check them out. All you got to do is just Google Tashi Krypton, and you're going to find the dealers that have some left. And good luck to you. Enjoy it, and let me know down below if you get one, what you think of it, and how your thoughts may differ from mine. I'll catch you guys on the next video.